Ever wonder why the toughest gunslinger in movie history still can't sit through one of his own films? That single mystery can lead you through Clint Eastwood's whole wild life. Jumps from poverty to stardom, messy romances, legendary roles, and a feud in the Mexican desert that still makes him wince. Grab a drink, because this story moves fast and never looks back. Eastwood's ride starts in the dusty 1930s. His family rolled from town to town in beat-up trucks while jobs vanished like water and sand. Little Clint stacked lumber, pumped gas, and even cleaned out smelting furnaces before Uncle Sam drafted him during the Korean War. That rough stretch taught him two rules he's lived by ever since: keep quiet and keep moving. The Hollywood suits would soon learn how hard it is to stop a man who follows only those two rules. But the first break came from a cowpoke nobody expected. In 1958, CBS handed Clint the throwaway role of Rowdy Yates on Rawhide. The part was thin, yet viewers loved that slow grin and half-muttered one-liners. Within 3 weeks, the show cracked the top 20 ratings and his paycheck exploded. Clint figured if a cheap TV Western could do that, imagine what a real movie could do. So he packed up again, this time for Spain. Across the Atlantic, Sergio Leone gave Clint a cigar, a poncho, and silence. 3 low-budget spaghetti westerns, a fistful of dollars, for a few dollars more, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly changed the genre forever. No lectures, no shining white hats, just a nameless drifter who shot first and rarely talked later. European critics sniffed, American teens cheered, and the box office blew up. Overnight, Clint learned that cool could be quieter than any monologue, and danger could pay bigger than dignity. The man with no name suddenly had the biggest name in the business. Still, the trip back to the States came loaded with extra dynamite. Do you feel lucky? When Dirty Harry stormed theaters in 1971, Clint aimed a .44 Magnum straight at an already edgy America. CDs worried about rising crime. The film showed a cop who skipped red tape and asked questions later. Reviewers called it fascist, protesters waved signs, and Clint just shrugged. Controversy kept ticket lines long and made Callahan more famous than any badge in real life. The lesson stuck: let critics howl, the crowd will decide who wins. Success didn't satisfy him, though. He stepped behind the camera because hiring yourself means never waiting for permission. His first try, Play Misty for Me, cost peanuts and turned stalker terror into real profit. 20 years later, Unforgiven said sorry and thank you to every Western myth at the same time, scooping 4 Oscars including Best Picture and Best Director. By then, he'd back to personal style. Shoot fast, use natural light, spend the studio's money like it's your own tip jar. Actors love him for it, accountants love him even more. Yet all that cool masked a stormy private life no scriptwriter could have dreamed up. A brand new 2025 biography, Clint, the Man in the Movies, lays the secrets bare. 8 known kids, 6 mothers, and 1 quote from the man himself. He called his affairs addictive, like lighting a cigarette you swear you'll quit tomorrow. His first wife, Maggie Johnson, stayed 31 years while rumors piled up higher than saddle stacks. The book says checks worth millions kept the peace each time another child surfaced. But checks can't buy quiet forever, and one romance would blow the lid clean off. Enter Sondra Locke, actor, partner, co-star, and eventually courtroom rival. They lived together 14 intense years, made 6 movies, and split in a palimony lawsuit that crawled through headlines for a decade. Locke fired back in a tell-all book that claimed she went through 2 surgeries because Clint wanted no more surprises. Each side flung paperwork, and the press licked its chops. Friends say Clint hated the noise, but hated surrender more. So he fought on until both parties signed gag agreements and limped away. The scars on his image never fully faded, and neither did his distrust of the spotlight's glare. All that drama still isn't the tale that keeps him from hitting play. That honor belongs to one dusty shoot in Mexico with a fearless, red-haired co-star. Too much balls, said director Don Siegel on Shirley MacLaine on the set of 2 Mules for Sister Sarah. MacLaine escaped rewrites, loud debates, and long rehearsals. Clint liked quick takes, short scripts, and silence. The clash echoed off Cactus Hills. Crew folk remember food poisoning, busted props, and a live rattlesnake scene that went sideways. The real sting came later, when producers gave McClane top billing, even above the brand new superstar from the spaghetti hits. Pride smarted, patience snapped. By Wrap Day, Clint called the whole experience unfriendly and swore he'd never rewatch a frame. The plot twist in the film didn't help either. It asked audiences to buy that McClane's nun was really a saloon worker in disguise. Clint thought that flip cheapened both characters and wrecked the stakes. Worse, he had zero control over edits. Contracts still treated him like talent, not auteur. A few years later, he'd direct High Plains Drifter himself and never look back. But Sister Sarah became the dusty bruise, reminding him of a time when he couldn't steer his own horse. That's why the DVD remains sealed 5 decades later. Even legends age, and whispers started in 2024 that the 93-year-old's body was finally saying slow down. On the Juror number 2 set, actors showed up ready to work, only to hear Clint's not filming today. Reports said unspecified health issues sent him off set 3 separate times. Social media spun scary rumors and even phony RIP hashtags. By winter, he finished the movie, but the gossip about frailty wouldn't die. Some fans wondered if the old gunslinger had finally met the one outlaw he couldn't outdraw, time itself. Then things got stranger. Days before his 95th birthday, an Austrian paper published a big interview full of spicy quotes, except Clint says he never gave it. Headlines screamed that he blasted Hollywood for endless remakes and warned young filmmakers to do something new or stay at home. Within 48 hours, Clint's team called the story entirely phony, and the newspaper fired the freelancer who wrote it. Suddenly, the internet had to pick a side. Was the legend firing one last shot at lazy storytelling, or was he the victim of clickbait? Either way, his name ruled talk shows for a week, proving the man can dominate news without even opening his mouth. Amid the chaos, a quieter fact slipped out. He is already lining up the next film. Industry tracker World of Real says cameras could roll by autumn, with Clint promising, "A man can always get better." No title, no cast list, just that same old confidence. Studios know he shoots faster than kids a third his age and cheaper than any modern blockbuster, so they keep betting on him. Friends still ask if he'll ever pop 2 mules for Sister Sarah into a player just to make peace. They say he smiles, shakes his head, and changes the subject. Maybe the real answer hides in how he lives, always forward. To Clint, the past is a closed saloon, lights off, doors locked. He keeps riding because new roads don't come with bitter memories baked into the scenery. So here we are, a boy from Depression-era shanties rises to world fame, breaks hearts in box office records, wins 4 Oscars, and at 95 preps yet another shoot. He's weathered protests, lawsuits, health scares, and a fake interview, but one 1970 movie still makes him flinch. Maybe that single refusal is the secret to his fire. Never dwell, never relive the bad take, just keep moving before regret catches up. Next time you see 2 mules for Sister Sarah scrolling past on the late-night channel, remember the man who made it might be out there planning another last ride too busy with tomorrow to give yesterday a second glance. Bonus ride, 5 more twists Clint fans rarely hear about. Number 1. The day the gunslinger legalized ice cream. Back in 1986, Clint got bored of studio politics and ran for mayor of tiny Carmel by the Sea. His first act? Overturning a decades-old rule that banned people from eating ice cream cones on downtown sidewalks. Tourists cheered, locals sold more scoops, and reporters realized the Dirty Harry snarl could also sign city permits with a grin. He left after one 2-year term, but folks still tell the story of how he cut red tape, streamlined building codes, and reminded everyone that government can move fast if someone just says, "Make my day." And that mayor's desk led straight to a cattle ranch he refused to let die. A mission rescue with no stunt horse.
While still mayor, Clint bought the crumbling 160-year-old Mission Ranch overlooking Carmel Bay. Developers planned condos, he saw sheep, jazz, and sunset dinners. He poured millions into restoring every weather-beaten board, then reopened the place as an inn and piano bar, where he sometimes slips in to play bass. Preservation groups later handed him a Historic Heritage Award, calling the save impossible without his wallet and will. The ranch feeds his lifelong love of open space and explains why he pops up at local conservation fundraisers instead of Hollywood galas. In 2024, he even shared a quiet laugh with Jane Goodall while raising cash for youth eco-projects. That public warmth, though, didn't spare him from the loudest chair in politics. The night an empty seat talked back. At the 2012 Republican National Convention, Clint ambled on stage, pulled up a stool, and pretended President Obama sat beside him. The unscripted riff veered and sputtered, spawning instant memes like "Invisible Obama." Network pundits gasped, Twitter exploded. Days later, Clint admitted the bit didn't play like it sounded in my head, but the image, America's coolest cowboy arguing with a chair, was already stamped on pop culture. He still shrugs off jokes about it, saying comedy is harder than quick draws, and promising he'll leave late-night skits to comics. Yet his toughest prop remains a movie reel he still refuses to spin. Rumors swirl around Sister Sarah's deeper sting. Old crew hands whisper that on top of billing wars and script gripes, Clint suspected producers courted Shirley MacLaine for publicity, then clipped his own pay once she signed. Another rumor claims their on-set blow-ups hid an awkward crush he quickly regretted. No contracts show either claim, and Clint never confirms. He just repeats, "It wasn't a good fit," then changes the subject. Whatever the buried truth, the film still reminds him of a time he wasn't driving the wagon. That single bruise may explain why he guards creative control like a loaded revolver to this day. And guarding control matters more than ever because the calendar keeps ticking. One more movie, and maybe another one after that. While the internet was busy burying juror number 2, pointing to halted shoot days and whispering health scares, Clint quietly finished the thriller and slipped into the editing bay. 6 months later, industry tracker World of Real revealed he'd already outlined a follow-up feature, scouting cast and sets for a possible 2025 start. Friends say his routine still begins at dawn: black coffee, a handful of nuts, a stroll along the ranch fence, then pages of handwritten notes only he can read. He jokes that the secret isn't steroids or magic diets, just stay curious and keep the crews small. If cameras roll again at age 95, he'll pass John Huston as the oldest director ever to release a major studio picture. So don't bet against the man. For Clint Eastwood, yesterday is just a story, today is a call time, and tomorrow is another chance to ride before the sun sets. And that's a scene he'll always watch.